Hi, this is Johnny Stronati from ADSR Sounds, and today we're going to be taking a first look at the new Maschine Mk3 from Native Instruments. Lots of excitement about this forthcoming release and a big step up from the Mk2. Lots of new features, enhancements, upgrades. We can take a look first at the back panel of the hardware. There's lots of new stuff on here now. We've got an audio interface built into the hardware, 24-bit, 96 kilohertz. We've got two 1/4 inch TRS line inputs and outputs, a 1/4 inch jack, dynamic mic input, headphone output, MIDI in, MIDI out, expression and sustain pedal. We've got the volume knobs on the back for the headphones and for the audio interface. We also get a power supply which we can use to boost the light on the RGB color display. So it boosts the light, gives us more light, which is great for if you're taking it out live and playing in a dark, sweaty basement club. You need to see the screen a bit better. And then we come to the front panel. I mean, the build quality is excellent. It's got a really nice feel to it, really solid, sturdy. There's a metal bottom to the hardware and it just feels really solid. And the pads are great. I mean, I love the pads on the Mk2 anyway, but the pads have got enhanced sensitivity now, and they're also bigger. They're enlarged from the Mk2. They're a bit bigger, but they've managed to maintain the exact same center to center distance between each pad, so the muscle memory is exactly the same, which is great, especially for finger drummers. I noticed composing, arranging using the Mk3, there's a couple of features that have been brought one step in. So a big workflow enhancement really, and the first of which I'm using a lot of and I love, is the mixer button. So previously we had to do shift sampling to get into the mixer. Now we just have a dedicated mixer button, so we can just bang mixer button and then we can start mixing, and just, it's really quick there, that mixing button. And a couple of other things, well, we've got the macro button as well, so we can just get straight into our macros here, and start playing around with them. Previously we had to do a bit of menu diving to get the macros up, but now we've just got that dedicated macro button. So that's cool. A couple other things, the pad mode has been moved over here from the side. The step sequencing from over here is down here now. And the keyboard and chords have been brought a step in. So we've got our synth sound on here. I think it's got an arpeggiator on it. So there's our synth. Say you're in another part of the hardware, you were diving around some different menus, just select your sound, keyboard, and straight away you've got access to your chromatic keyboard, and then you can go one step more and just chords. Previous there was a bit of menu diving up here, the chords is down there, so now you can bring the chords up very quickly, very easily, as well as the keyboard. And I mean, one of the things I'm really noticing with the Mk3 is that previously the Mk2, what I would do a bit more jumping back to the software for one or two things, rightly or wrongly, but I notice now, especially with these RGB color displays, Maschine Studio users will be familiar with this, but this is a big step up from the Mk2 displays, and just any of that stuff that I was using the software for, and now I'm just not touching the software at all, not touching the mouse. It's all, you can just do it all from the hardware so intuitively really, and just so quick to get ideas down. And like especially with like your events, you can see your events, you can select your events, you can use this controller, or start tweaking stuff around. So I mean, that was one thing, velocity, length, I would sometimes tweak MIDI parts a bit more just on the software, but I can do it so easily from the hardware now. And this encoder, although on the face of it looks similar to the Mk2, it can actually do loads more because it's a 4-way encoder. So say if you're in your mixer, you can actually go around, check which group you want to select, go into the group, select which sound, turn this up, down, and it also turns it up in 0.5 dB increments, which I quite like. And then if I want something a bit more fine-tuned, shift. So I can do so much stuff with this one controller. So say the drums here, we want to add some effects onto the drums just from the one controller, plus bang a compressor on there, scroll again, add another sound flanger on there, just from that one controller. That's so nice. We can do so much stuff on that one 4-way encoder, so I love that. The note repeat is bigger now for those of you who love to arpeggiate sounds like I do, so it just encourages you to just use that note repeat. So that's really cool, bigger note repeat button. And now we come to this lock feature, and this is incredible. Like, this has so much creative scope for both live and just improvising your arrangements, I guess. So it kind of takes a snapshot of everything that's happening in the current project the way it is. So you hit it and that's how things are, that's how things are sounding. So let's go and create a little breakdown section. Let's mute our kick, let's mute our open hat, let's go to our bass sound, let's filter this up, hit lock, and it just puts everything back to that previous state. And so it's great for, like I say there, it's great there for bringing filtering stuff up, because there's no way I'd be able to, at the drop of a beat, put all of these parameters back to the way they were. I can using that lock, but also the fact that it remembers mutes. So you can mute stuff and it remembers it when you lock and mute stuff. It remembers that. So I love that. And also you could, so we've got some macros set up here on the master. It remembers a bypass. So one of these, say this, I think the beat delay. So the beat delay is, we could bypass this, we'll bring the mix right up, and then go to lock, unbypass, go to our filter, we've got a high pass filter on here, unbypass this, filter out, and just remember that. So it's going to bypass all these plugins now when I hit the lock. So you could just do so much cool stuff live, but also just sketching arrangements out using that lock button. So much creative scope there. And then we come to the touch strip. So as you can see, I mean, stuff's been brought over a little bit from the Maschine Studio in the Maschine Jam. So the Maschine Jam features these touch strips, and so you go to this synth sound. So we can activate the pitch, or the mod wheel if we've got stuff assigned to the mod wheel on our synthesizer patch. Probably vibrato in most cases. And then we've got the performance effects. And so these are so good for, just playing around. So I load this performance effect on, and just start playing around with the controls, and come to these knob controllers here. So these are touch sensitive, have a really nice feel anyway, just playing around with them, but you can also just touch the top and bring up, say for this mode here, changing which performance effect I have dialed in. You know, just touch the top and it just brings up those controls. So that's great. And then we can load in this stutter. And so there's performance effect along with the lock mode, you know. It's just great for live, you know, creative stuff. And then we've also got the notes mode. So let's load a new sound here and explore this notes mode. And yeah, I had guitars dialed in, so yeah, the guitar will work well because it's sort of, you can use that notes mode to strum. So just take this guitar sound and we're going to our keyboard. We'll probably have to go up a few octaves, and then we can just hold down whichever notes, and then with the notes mode activated, we've got the arpeggiator on there, so it just strums it up and down whichever notes you're holding. So I love that, you know, and I've got some other sounds on here as well. So let's add a delay into the equation as well. And let's go to our scale. I think I'm working in F minor, so and then we can combine the notes mode. I've discovered playing around, you can combine the notes mode with, say, the chords as well, for just enhanced kind of melodic inspiration, really. And then go one step further and arpeggiate this. So let's just pin the arpeggiator. Add a few more octaves into the equation and maybe go down. And we can just start to just generate melodic sequences that you would just personally would just never think to program in that way. You know, so much fun, so creative. That's most of the new features. There's loads of stuff to cover. We're going to be doing lots of video content based on the Maschine Mk3 in the forthcoming weeks. But we just wanted to dive in and get a first look and just explore some of the big new features in here. So I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.